Anyway, speaking of amazing, it's 102. So we're going to get going. My name is Nancy. If we haven't met, I'm founder and CEO of Tempo. It was a side hustle that has turned into a full-time gig of staffing people on gig work. I'm an event producer, stage manager, and deck manager by trade. And then this Tempo just started in 2008, but really took off during the pandemic when we all would meet every Tuesday and talk about, hey, how we're going to survive the pandemic. And we started training each other on virtual events, and the database has grown. I've never tried to market Tempo. I have just been here, and you guys are the ones that have actually grown the business for me, because you tell your friends and then your friends tell your clients, and that's how Tempo's grown. And I'm honored. I'm so thankful, and I'm having a blast, and I love getting you all work. So thank you for helping me work and get you guys works. And yeah, I'm going to go around the room because we have time today. We had 36 people last week.
Right.
It wasn't going to go. It was going to take too long if we did it last week. So I just want you to, I'll leave Hadley for last because she's our guest speaker today. But if you just want to go on the room real quick and just your name, where you're from, what you do, I'll call you out, and turn on your camera to say hi if you would. That would be nice. And then you can turn it off if you want to go eat or what have you. But I'll start with Lonnie. Where are you? What do you do?
Hello, my name is Lonnie Johnson. I live and work mostly in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am an LED engineer, audio engineer, technical director, camera director, all around jack of many trades, and just, always looking for work.
Nice. Thanks, Lonnie. It's good to see you. Lonnie was consistent throughout the pandemic on our calls. He was every Tuesday. So was Miles. I call him Kevin Bacon of the event world. Miles Capper. 7 degrees from everybody. Where are you, Miles?
I'm in my garage. Yeah, hi. Greetings, everybody. Stage manager and fairly busy, working as much as I want. And given the amount of projects around the house and things, it's actually working out very well. So I'm actually thankful for not being slammed right now. And it's going to be that way for the next couple months. And then fall is starting to fill in as usual.
Got it. And you're in Southern California. You're in Los Angeles based.
Yeah, I'm in LA.
All right. Call him Chris Code.
It's Chris Code, Calm Cold Calling. I'm show caller, and I'm based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and working pretty consistently these days. Probably about every other week I'm out of town. Don't do a lot here in Minneapolis, but do a lot out on the road. So I'm a show calling guy. I come from a stage management background in theater.
Nice. Thanks, Chris. Stage managers are busy. My new friend, JW.
There we go. Hey, everybody. I'm JW James. I'm in Ohio, in Cincinnati, and just met Nancy today. And I'm a producer, and I have a background in Hollywood as a performer, as a writer, as a director, and a producer. And then I also then got into the escape room business. And so I was in the escape room business for about 10 years, and I had a couple companies, and I still design puzzles and design immersive experiences and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's cool. Icebreakers too. Icebreaker guy, team building. I love that part because we do get calls for that, like independently. Like, I know I need ideas and whatever. So that's good. That's a good skill.
Yeah.
Right. Jenny.
Hey, I'm Jenny Ryan. Good to see everyone from New York City. I'm a deck stage manager, star talent, and line producer.
Perfect. Thanks, Miss Jen. Tiffany.
Hi, is that Stephanie?
Tiffany, then Stephanie. You're muted, Tiff. Aww.
It doesn't look like muted. It looks like an issue with your microphone connecting to Zoom.
Tiffany's
which one it is.
I'll do it. Tiffany's from San Diego. She's from PR and events, and she is a hustler, and she just joined Tempo. But I've known her for years. She helped me when I wrote a book. She helped me get on a couple TV stations, which was kind of cool. And a radio station, I believe. Anyway, so to get that mic working so you can do it yourself. But she's awesome. She's new to Tempo. Super talented. All right, now Stephanie.
Hi, thank you. I'm Stephanie from San Diego. Well, currently living in San Diego, Carlsbad, and event manager, project manager, deck manager, like to do it all. And I've got a background in event production and have done a couple Olympic Games. And that's where I worked with Nancy many moons ago.
So cool. All right, Andy.
Oh, hi, Andy Lipnick. I'm based in San Francisco. I'm an A1, A2 RF coordinator. I'll organize your comms if needed. That's my world. And I have to run, by the way, so I'm just saying a quick hello, but I really I need to watch this show. I do have liability insurance and workers comp, so I think I'm okay, but I want to hear what the experts have to say.
Cool.
And it's good to see you all again, but I'm going to run in a moment.
Oh, it's good to see you, Andy.
Yeah.
Another loyal pandemic think tanker for sure. All right, Lori Fong.
Hey everyone, from Chicago, Illinois. So anyone in the Midwest, stop by. Hey, so my background is in theater, scenic design. I started out in outdoor festivals. Now I've been a EP producer, graphics producer, but lately EP and virtual directing, show calling.
Nice. Good to see you, Lori. There he is, Tony. Camera's on and everything.
Hi there, Tony Crescenzo, born and raised in San Diego, California, which is the reason why Nancy wanted me on her team at the Utah Olympic Oval in 2002 at the Olympics that we did together. She introduced me to the world of ESPN, and I introduced her to the world of corporate, and we've been fast friends ever since. So to basically doing producing, breakout producing, operations management, and technical, not technical direction, but I have been sucked into technical producing a couple times. So there you go.
Cool. I'm glad you're here, Tony. 2 weeks in a row. It's impressive. All right. What you guys were getting more people. More. Thanks for going quickly, everybody. Where'd Sim go? There you go, Sim. You're next. I think you're muted. I'll ask you to unmute.
Simone.
There you
Simone's
are.
my name.
Simone.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm a video producer. I have my own company. I write scripts, I shoot, I edit, and because all of that got very competitive lately, I am freelancing as a camera operator. And I'm finding I'm having a lot of fun being just a camera operator and none of the
Yay.
responsibility weighing on my shoulders. And that's how I ran into Nancy not too long ago. And yeah, hi.
I just realized that when you said Simone, I'm like, wait a second, I recognize that voice. Good to see you, Simone.
Yeah, good to see you. I wanted to learn more about insurance. I may have to out. I need to drive some appointment, but yeah, I'll be very interested until I have to bail.
All right. Well, I'll definitely send out the records and we'll hustle through these intros so that Hadley can tell us what's going on. We have Jill Brown. Hey, Jill.
Hi there. Sorry, when I first came on, I think you guys were here at the end of my last call. I'm in Chicago, and I was talking to my financial person, getting excited because I need to talk about insurance. Anyway, I'm in Chicago. I produce, I do breakout sessions, deck manager, assistant stage manager. I'm starting to show call more. Nancy and I just talked about. Kind of all over the place, but glad to be on this side of things. My past life was more on the what I'd call the meeting planning side. So good to be here.
Cool. Welcome over. Welcome over. Hey, Ray.
Thank you.
How you doing? Ray Franklin, living in Mount Dora, Florida. Been at this for a few years. I'm one of the few people that's older than Miles. And I've searched hashtag presentation coach Ray, and you'll find everything you need to know. I do virtual presentation coaching.
Your background is beautiful.
Not
you look like
much
you're on
older.
You look like a newscaster with that beautiful, you're so well lit. Like you're perfect. You're perfect for what you're doing. Well done.
I try to model my behavior for my clients.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Susan.
Hi
Hey,
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I didn't realize we were doing introductions. I would have been more camera ready. I am based in Los Angeles. I do producing, project managing, content manager type stuff. I'm kind of a QC geek, I've discovered. Very detail oriented, have festival work, corporate work, all this stuff. And I know Tony from a long time ago. We did a lot of work together and I was so excited to see and hear from him on our last think tank. So I'd love to connect with you again, Tony. That was really fun.
That's cool.
Full circle. And he said he was one of the first tempo people. I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yep, it sure was. All right, Joe Morris, I think that's rounding out everybody.
Hey, I'm Joe. I'm based in Las Vegas and been in the business for quite a while and going everything from corporate and association general session, show caller, tech manager, and breakout manager, producer, whatever job calls for. I do video shooting and editing with my team, and I've got my own company here in Vegas.
Nice. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for joining us. And I lied because there's two without cameras on I haven't met. Well, I know Julie Van Lowe and then Lori Lamson. So Julie, you don't have to turn your camera if you're in the middle of something, but if you want to say hi, where are you, Julie? Julie.
She really is in the middle of something.
She must be. Is Lori Lamson in the middle of something? Who's Lori Lamson?
I can stop. We've met before, Nancy. We had a Zoom.
Oh, cool. I
I'm a
can't see you,
writer.
though.
I know. I'm in a bath. I just got out of the shower. Sorry. There's 3 other meetings today.
Just jumping in to say hi.
Yeah. I'm a writer. I work with production companies, ad agencies, their corporate and government clientele, and also fellow writers to tell stories clearly, concisely, creatively, and inclusively.
Got a girl. Thanks for joining us right out of the shower. Well done.
I'm on a schedule. So.
Perfect. Hey, Mel.
Hey, Nan. I'm off mute.
Oh, hey, Julie. Where are you, Julie?
I'm in my car running between appointments. So yes, I've been listening in and going at the same time. So apologies for no video and hit or miss on being able to mute or not. I do producing and production management for commercials mostly, but I have jumped into the live event world here and there. I'm in San Diego currently. Originally from South Dakota, work the Midwest as well, and I'll be moving to North Carolina in the next month. So I'll be happy to work on the East Coast or wherever, but hopefully can jump in and do more live event stuff as well.
Cool. And then you need to tell me what's going on. Okay. Can't wait to hear about that one.
I'll catch you up.
Good for you. All right, Melanie Katz. Let me hear it.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Sorry, I too am just out of the shower, so sorry, no camera. It's supposed to be that time of day.
Freelancers, you can shower at noon. It's the greatest.
True story. Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah, good to see you.
So Mel's in Vegas, and you do what, Mel? Tell him.
Oh, show caller and voiceover artist.
Yeah, you do. Awesome. Beautiful voice too. I'm so proud of you. That kind of happened after the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, right?
Yeah. Well, it started beforehand just as fun. And then pandemic, I'm like, oh, well, I guess this is going to be my new job. I don't know if we're ever coming back.
Awesome.
And it's turned into something. So it's been really super fun.
Good for you. If you guys need voiceover work, you need a nice, pretty soothing lady's voice. Mel's one to look at, to listen to. Okay. And last but not least, our guest of honor today is Hadley Wood. Hadley, I met through all women's co-working space that I work at here in San Diego. So I've switched my insurance broker over to Hadley because she's just so friendly and knowledgeable, and it was easy to talk to and understand what I needed. And I asked her if she'd join us. So I'm going to turn over to Hadley and let her do her thing. This is a conversation. It's not a webinar. You guys feel free to unmute and talk and stop her in her tracks and ask questions or put it in the chat room. We can ask her. But yeah, take it away, Ms. Hadley.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Hadley Wood. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Nancy, for inviting me on and get to kind of sit at the round table with all of you. I am the owner and founder and CEO of H. Linwood Insurance, my company. I launched my own company in 2010, but I've been in the insurance arena for over 20 years. So I know a little bit about, I specialize in business insurance. So I work with all kinds of business owners, and I know a little bit about what you guys are doing because my previous career was in the entertainment industry up in Los Angeles. So I've done production, I've been in talent management, acquisition, but then, kind of ran my course up in Los Angeles. And when I moved back to San Diego, had to kind of reinvent myself. And I literally fell into the insurance world by chance, which most people do. And I really enjoyed it. And I was able to bring a lot of my skills from what I'd previously been doing to the insurance world, in that it's a very, it can be a very creative arena, insurance. It's dynamic, it changes. You're always trying to help clients and figure things out and kind of put puzzles together. So it was really surprisingly a good fit for me. So I'm happy to be here. And today, I was on last week's with Jonathan, which I was telling Nancy I got a ton out of. I really want to be, keep this kind of roundtable. I do want to go over some basics of insurance, specifically business insurance, so that everybody's kind of on the same page. And like I said, I was telling Nancy, I learned a lot last week about LLCs, and you just really don't know what you don't know. So it's hard to ask questions if you don't have, kind of maybe a big picture of what you need to even ask questions about. So I do want to just I do have a little PowerPoint thingy, I know, but
you can share.
I can probably share it.
Yes. And team Hadley's here. I mean, the big picture is, as independent contractors, you need to act like it. You need to look like it, or you're going to become an employee because of the laws that are getting so strict around the country. And there's nothing wrong with being an employee unless you don't want to be one. If you want to be your own business and pay your own taxes and do your own payroll and get the benefits of being an S Corp or a C Corp, an LLC filing as we now learned, LLC has nothing really to do with it. It's how you're filing that makes you the business. You got to back that company up with insurance, and it's not the end of the world, and it's not super expensive. So depending on what you do, but for what we do, it's not that bad. And I'll let Hadley take it from there.
Exactly. Can you guys all see? Yeah, can you see? Okay, perfect. And what I'll do is I'm going to open up the chat. I'm going to keep it, well, I'll keep it down here. As questions, obviously I'll kind of go through some basics and then let's talk. I really want to open it up to your specific questions because every business is different. And, now that you guys are kind of in the entity formation, everyone may have different risks and exposures that you need to have covered. And that's kind of where I want to get into, helping you guys specifically if we can today. So just want to start with the first, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Oh, here we go. Okay, there we go. All right, insurance. One big thing is, people ask, well, what is really insurance for? There's, when you look at risks, there's 4 ways to handle risk. There's only 4 ways. And that goes to, your personal lives as well as your business. So you're either going to do one of these 4 things, reduce your risk, minimize it, accept it, avoid it, or transfer risk, right? This is where this area of transfer risk is what insurance is for. You're basically paying somebody to take over that risk or that problem, that thing. You're paying them a premium and they're going to worry about that for you. Okay. So, or they're going to share that actually because you have a deductible. Your deductible is your little piece that you are sharing in your risk, and you're paying them a premium to really take on that headache for you. So that's kind of the whole gist of what insurance is. I don't know why am I thinking. Okay, so insurance by definition, transfer of risk. All right, now all of you are going to, when you have an insurance policy for your business, your insurance policy is actually an agreement. So even though you're technically not signing that insurance policy necessarily, you might be signing the quote or whatnot, it's a transfer of money and it is actually an agreement. So There's 4 parts to it. And if nothing else today, I want everyone to, first of all, take a look at policies that you have. And even if it's your health insurance policy, your auto insurance policy, pull out a policy and just look at it to get familiar with it, because they're all going to have the same components, whether it's on your personal life or your business life. Declaration pages on a policy are really defined by, they're really going to define who the agreement is with. So it's going to be with this carrier and you, your company, or your name if you're a sole prop. The dates, the policy dates, how much you're paying, your deductible, all very specific information to you. So if people ask you for the deck pages, this is what they're asking for. They're asking to see just those few pages that have your information. The second part of the policy is going to be terms and conditions. Now, every single carrier, and there's thousands of carriers out there, and carrier is insurance company. So there's thousands of insurance companies out there. Every carrier is going to have different terms and conditions. It's just like every agreement may be a little different. So some carriers, some policies might be 100 pages long. Some are going to be a lot shorter. The terms and conditions define what the terms and conditions are of that agreement, right? So basically, what are you buying? This is going to have things like what's included in your insurance and what's excluded in your insurance. So that's a big one to look at, especially the exclusions. Now, it's absolutely important to know what you're getting coverage for, but it's equally as important to know what you are not covered for, so that you can create, at least have an eye on those things to make sure that you've got some type of risk management in place to avoid those things that could be big exposures that maybe your policy doesn't cover you for. So that's going to be under the terms and conditions. Definition of terms, just like a glossary of terms, basically, it's going to be, defining it's because, again, this is a contract and lawyers put together these contracts. They're going to define all of the different terms. So if it says named insured or policy holder, it's going to define what that actually means legally. So all of those, so that you can actually interpret the agreement properly. And then lastly, endorsements. Now, an endorsement is just like a change order. It's an amendment to the policy. So you're looking at, if you add coverages or take off coverages, it will be in the form of an endorsement on your policy. So that's kind of the 4 parts to the agreement. And like I said, when you purchase an agreement or a policy, you really want to look at it and read it. It's really important. Forms of business insurance coverage, there are tons. Like I said, there's just all kinds. Now, depending upon what you're doing, you guys, I think, seem to mostly be going to be in the general liability, professional liability, maybe workers' comp if you have employees. You might have equipment that you need covered. That could be a separate policy, or it could be bundled together with your general liability. Property coverages, if you own a structure or whatnot, you'll have that. Business auto, there's all these. Cyber coverage is a big one. Drone coverage, if you are using drone to do any type of filming, that's a big one because it's normally excluded in a normal general liability policy. So if you're doing any filming with drone, what the insurance world calls unmanned aircraft, which is a scary, a little scarier verbiage, but that's a big one. So there's all kinds of policies out there and coverages. Sometimes these can be bundled, like I said. Sometimes, you have to purchase them separately. The reality of insurance is that, it would be not cost effective to try to cover everything. And that's the reality. You have to look at, what are my biggest exposures? What do I worry about most? What keeps me up at night? And then try to cover those, because there's no such thing as an all risk policy. I've had clients come to me in the past say, I just need everything covered. I want everything covered. I don't want to have to worry about anything. I'm a business owner and I want, anything that could, happen to be covered. And that just doesn't exist. So you got to really pinpoint your biggest concerns and then talk with your broker or agent and make sure those are, the big concerns are addressed and understood. And attempted to be at least as much as possible covered. So, all right, liability insurance. What is liability insurance, period? Liability in general, liability at fault, right? So liability is third party property damage and bodily injury. So a lot of people, sometimes if they're not familiar with insurance speak, don't understand. They think maybe like general liability is covering their stuff or their people. It's actually not. It's coverage for somebody else. It's basically, it's coverage for you, but in case you damage somebody else. So if you're damaged somebody else's property or themselves, that's going to come down to liability insurance. And that goes for everything: cyber liability, professional liability, general liability, anything that says liability, that is going to be third party. So keep that in mind as we kind of, and I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. So, you know, you guys at the end or stop me, I'm going to try to get through just some of these to give the overview, but we'll focus more on questions you guys have. So professional liability, this is also now professional liability. I like to explain it as kind of the, it's the umbrella name for a lot of different, there's underlying coverages like errors and omissions you might have heard of. Errors and omissions is a form of professional liability. So if somebody's, you know, some people have asked me, well, I need professional liability and E&O. No, E&O is a form of professional liability. So is medical malpractice or architects and engineers, you know, so these are all under the professional liability banner. And professional liability E&O is for people who are acting in a professional capacity. So it could be that you are a professional like an attorney, or, you know, for me, I'm a broker, a doctor, somebody acting where they have a certain type of license to give advice and give consulting. So basically, the way I like to think of it is it's more like you are offering your knowledge and you're trying to, and if you give improper knowledge to somebody, if you tell them to do something a certain way and it's actually incorrect, or you, you know, and maybe that whoever you told, maybe it's your client, suffered financially, they could come back and say, well, you told me to do it this way and I did it, but now it was wrong and now I'm losing money. That's where your professional E&O would kick in. So it's not really bodily injury or property damage. It's more, you know, you've damaged them by giving them bad advice. Okay. So it can be, so some of you might fall into this because I know in production, it might, you know, could be in the writing areas, producing, that type of stuff. You may be looking at some of this. So omission of alternatives, errors in transactions, you know, negligence, E&O errors, right? I mean, things happen. That's why we have insurance, right? General liability. Okay, general liability is what most of you are going to want. So this is going to be the third party damage. So if you're going onto somebody's property, a set, whatever it may be, a location, they're going to probably want you to have this because they don't want to, if you cause any damage in their space, physical damage to the space or injure anybody in that space, they don't want it to be on their insurance. They want you to cover that. So this also includes intellectual property infringement, big one. You use somebody else, obviously, probably most of you know this. If you can't use somebody else's picture or trademarked or copyrighted idea, this is all going to fall under the general liability banner scope. Libel and slander, right? That's going to fall under general liability as well. If any of you have an office lease or ever do get an office lease, this would be what they would require you to have. So that's your general liability. Cyber, this is a big one. It's kind of become a hot topic now. So in all of these, it would be great, like I said, if you could have them all bundled together into one. But carriers don't want to take on that, include that whole risk, right? And you don't, I mean, you could, right, not blame them to take on everything. So cyber liability now, you might sometimes find policies like and a general liability that will include like a little bit of cyber coverage. But if it's something where you're collecting anybody's data or you're putting together, you're using your own server and you're worried that if somebody hacks into your system, and takes, you know, that information or downloads the malware. And then it has an impact not only on you, but on your clients and maybe their clients. This would be something you want to look at. So this is becoming hotter and hotter because we're getting more and more breaches. Sadly, it's the world we live in, right? Workers' comp, if you have employees, and not, I don't mean, you know, day labor or subcontractors. It is going to be, if you have employees on payroll, in California, it's mandatory. And there's some states it's not. So it's going to be a little state by state, but definitely want to check the laws on this. In California, it's very, they're really cracking down. They're really cracking down, as Nancy knows. So it's just become a real hot issue, and you can't really, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but yeah, it's with the subcontractor thing, classifying, you know, somebody an employee or not an employee. You have to know as a professional the rules on that, because if you say, gosh, I didn't know, you know, I thought they were, you know, a subcontractor, but I guess they were an employee. You're going to end up with a big fine, probably back taxes, workers' comp, a lot of stuff. So it's kind of a big deal. You want to look at that. Employment practices. Again, if you do have any employees, I don't know if you guys do, but if you're thinking of bringing somebody on, this is a big one too. You see a lot of employment, EPLI, employment practices. This is for the business owner in case the employee, any employees file suit for wrongful termination, discrimination, harassment, whistleblower. You see this kind of every day in the news, right? Companies getting sued for something like this. Now, this again is not going to be included in your standard general liability or professional liability policy. So if you do bring on employees, or as you guys are growing in your business, these are things that might be just going to keep kind of in the back of your mind here, that this exists, and it might be something to look at.
Wait, before you go back.
Oh yeah.
What's the picture all about? Is somebody grabbing his butt, or is he grabbing his wallet? Is it sexual harassment or what?
Yeah, that's a hand grabbing somebody's butt. I don't know if it's a guy grabbing a girl's butt or a girl grabbing a guy.
Oh my God. Okay, just checking. I was like, what is he grabbing?
Any
his
of the
wallet?
above?
Somebody grabbing his butt? Is it sexual? Okay, moving on. I'm sorry.
Right? Yeah.
Everybody wake up. Look at the photo.
Somebody grabbing somebody's butt. That's what it is.
Okay. Not funny.
No. Okay. And this, obviously you guys probably just went through this with Nancy, but employee versus 1099 subs. And the reason I talk about this in my risk stuff is because all of these things are risk factors, right? So it may not necessarily be insurance, but one thing that I do for my clients is I like to really get into the nitty gritty about risk management. And because it's so important that we all look at this stuff and know. And this is what you guys are doing right now. So 1099 versus the subcontract, employees versus 1099 subs. Obviously, they're cracking down on it. There are, you know, a whole laundry list of points that, as Nancy knows, she may even share it with you, of what defines a employee versus a subcontractor. And I think it's even on the, correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy, it's on the like the EDD, right, website. I'm sure it has.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of all of that. So
an easy Google. And the laws keep changing and
they do
get stricter, but you guys so far are all safe. According to my attorneys, we have the perfect gig. I know we have the perfect gig. I have the perfect gig company. Miles is shaking his head because some production companies don't care. Right. They don't care. They want you to be an employee no matter what. When you go on their show site, you have to sign a W-2. But as long as you guys are following the rules of carrying your own insurance policy and having a business name and a business entity, you should be safe. And like Miles, I know you just went through something where Miles just gave in and said, fine, I'll be W-2 for the show for you. But you should be safe because you guys set your own hours. You bring your own tools. You are independent. You do this for other companies.
Exactly.
Anyway.
All of those. Exactly. And that way too, I mean, obviously it kind of all ties together, it creates this little package so you can show. And it obviously, I think it's going to have beneficial tax ramifications too. So that you guys kind of talked about last week. But yeah, this is all, like I said, it was very lackadaisical for many, many, many years. People just kind of called whatever their person was. Oh, that's a 1099 sub, even though telling them to show up every day, telling them what to do. hours. So yeah. So
I think the big problem that's happening is where I know a lot of companies have to draw the line is producers. Because if I'm a production agency and I have producers in-house and then I hire Jenny to be my producer as a 1099, Jenny could sue their butt off because she should be sitting with full benefits in the office and blah, blah, blah. So,
Right.
so you're not totally safe. I take that back. You're not totally safe, but that's when the companies can't take that risk because they can get sued very easily for hiring somebody. But at stage managers, deck managers, and there's a bunch of people that are very, very safe in terms of the production company hiring you.
Right.
And then some of you are risky for the production company. So the companies want you to go, show me your insurance policy, show me your business entity, show me how you're filing.
Yeah, so just to cut to the chase here, I'm an LLC. I have professional liability, I have general liability. God knows the number of additional insured I make agencies be throughout the year. And there's one major agency who, no discussion, if you're going to work for us, which I will and am, it's a W-2. We don't care what insurances you have. And my feeling is I've been an LLC for 5 years. I've had both insurances for longer than that. You know what? This is the first time this has happened in 5 years. I can deal with being a W-2. If I were to do it all over again, maybe I would become an S corporation. But even then, unless you're working every week, and there are advantages to being an S corporation. It also costs more and there's more paperwork, but I'll just cut it right there.
Yeah.
Sure
That's last week's video. That's
Yeah.
last week's video. You can see the pros and cons and how-tos.
Yeah.
Happy
And that
to
was
share.
fascinating. Yeah, that really
It
was.
was fascinating. Do you have a
All right,
question, Melanie?
I do, and I can wait till after. But it just kind of, I'm LLC S Corp stage managing or going on as a live announce. I am now being asked, I carry general liability, but now I'm being asked for workman's comp. And I guess I don't understand that. And if we can wait till the end to talk about that. I'm just trying to understand.
You know what? We can talk about it. Yeah, because that's actually, and again, I want this to be open. I want to really resource for you guys. So, yeah.
Same here.
Sometimes, that really does happen where people will ask a contract from somebody or an insurance requirement from a company. They're going to send that same template to everybody, right? So they may ask you for workers' comp. If you do not have employees, you are exempt from workers' comp. You cannot.
They're not. I have no employees, and they are. And either I do a W-2, which I don't want to do, or I have to have workman's comp. They've waived me. A couple of them have waived me a couple of shows, but they're like, from now on, this is what we're required by. They're being told that anyone they hire has to have liability and workman's comp. And I guess I just don't understand either of those for my position. I come in with my computers or come in with, my microphone, whatever. I'm setting things up. I guess I just don't understand what, as a show caller or voice talent, why I need liability and workman's comp.
Okay.
Melanie, are you in Nevada?
Yes.
That's why.
You could fill off the
But it happened to me, and I'm in Illinois, and I think sometimes the companies are confused. Is Illinois the same?
Same with New York now. Even though New York is exempt, some will just not hire me, will not. I mean, this has been this year.
Yeah,
I have to have it.
This year, they've really
This year.
Right. And it's hitting California as well. The folks behind AB5 in California are now saying, if you're an individual employee, which is crazy to your point, Melanie, you have to have workman's comp. And I don't know when that's happening, but it's supposed to happen this year.
That's
it's weird because it's like not covering myself. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. But
Exactly, because it's really not covering yourself. You can now. I know. Now there are ways to, if you absolutely have to have it, you can go through. In California, we go through state fund. They will do basically, it's like a shell policy that you can get to be compliant with your contracts.
I'm I'm in Vegas.
In Vegas, I think Nevada has a state entity that will do that. It is like a state-backed insurance fund that will do that. I can look it up for you, but that, you know, because it's become it. I've seen it happen where you just can't get out of it, and then you can go to that and get a shell policy. You're basically getting insurance on a napkin. I mean, there's really no coverage. But
Like why? I guess I'm
How much
curious,
is that?
why is this happening for us? You know, that we're not technicians, that we are hanging up lights or sets.
Right.
You know what
well,
I mean?
Obviously the general liability, okay, here's the whole thing. And a general liability, there is exposure. If you're going into somebody's space, I don't care if you're just bringing a laptop. If you do something, you could still cause damage to the space. You could still, something could happen and you hurt, maybe bodily injury to somebody. I don't know, could be whatever. The bottom line is they don't want to be on, everyone's trying to pass the buck. Okay. Everybody is trying to release liability from their end. So the attorneys are the ones behind all of this. And
yeah, totally.
Sadly, they're trying to make sure that their client doesn't end up holding the bag, right? So they're mandating that everybody who walks into that space carries insurance. We see it, just like, it could be, definitely in events and things like that, of course, but I'm seeing it more and more across the board. So everybody's covering their butt. So everybody that walks into that space has to have their own insurance.
How much is the napkin insurance?
It could be like $500 a year. It could be lower.
I thought it was on a per show basis.
It depends on, it depends, Miles. You can probably get that they have, depending upon what you're doing. I know Fireman's Fund does kind of a package deal for the entertainment, industry, where you can sort of get things bundled together, including workers' comp, some equipment, some general liability. That might be an option if you're not looking for an annual policy. So I
used to purchase it per event, and the company that I decided to go full year with it. But there are several companies out there you can do it per event, and it's a lot cheaper than it's trying to do it for a whole blanket of a year. But I've been told, even with, because I hire freelancers with my company, and been told that they all need to have their own workman's comp, otherwise I'm going to have to provide it for them. But we have a gentleman's agreement with those few that I work with that some carry it, some don't, and they're certainly not going to come back to me at this point for workman's comp if they get injured on the job, because they sign a waiver with me that they will provide their own and can't come back to me. And there's a lot of companies that are doing that. You sign that.
And they've asked, like, if I've had my own insurance. I'm like, of course I do. So they're like, okay, well then sign this and you're fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess I get the general liability. I guess the workman's comp part is kind of throwing.
It's crazy.
Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense, like I said, because if your workman's comp is to cover employees, right? So it doesn't, I think we're in this really weird with this whole shift. I think a lot of people are misinterpreting, when they're drafting these agreements with you guys. I hate to say it. I think they don't even know what they're asking for.
Right.
I've come across that often, where I've been, even with large companies, they'll ask me for certain things for my clients, and I'll say that doesn't even exist anymore. And they'll fight me on it. And I'll say, look, I don't know what to tell you. You cannot get this. It's been out of circulation since 1996. We can't even get this endorsement. So sometimes they just don't know what they're asking for. I've had to get on the phone, to be honest, with, on behalf of my clients, and explain to some of these people who are asking for this paperwork that, no, she cannot get this, or it doesn't apply. And sometimes fighting it can break through. Like I said, in the times when they absolutely will not budge, then that's when I go and, we get a shell policy, which is a waste of money. And it's very frustrating.
It is weird, because even if I've got workman's comp, it doesn't cover them from me or someone else suing them, right? I mean,
exactly.
Well, I think, don't they have to have workman's comp insurance anyway for all this? So that's what's weird.
Well, they have workman's comp for their employees, but you're coming in their space. So, okay, here's the scenario. If you guys walk into their space and you fall, something happens, you lift something, you hurt your back. Technically, the reason this is all happening is people are crazy and they're filing a lot of claims. Okay. So, you know, you could potentially say, what if you didn't have health insurance? Okay. And you've now just broken your back and now you can never work again. And maybe it's because you tripped on a cord that somebody set up, right? Or you tripped on your own cord in that space. You could sue that space and say, look, I can't work anymore. What they're trying to prevent that. They're trying to prevent, you know, obviously it's assuming that everybody has a health plan, right? That's going to pay for their treatment. If they don't, then they're hoping that your workers' comp would be covering you, which that would be a fight all into itself. So I think that's what they're trying for. That's their brain set, you know, that they don't want to be on the
Isn't
hook.
that why they should have insurance then, right? Like, isn't that why we all have, well, you know, so that someone, again, this is me writing like what insurance means, but like, that's what's weird about it.
Yeah, it depends on, and again, it depends the accident. It'll, you know, whoever's liable, you know, if they the cord and you guys tripped on it, that would be on their general liability, right? Because that's bodily injury to you as a third party if you tripped on their cord. Now, if you laid down your own cord and tripped on it and fell, her fault, right? So you can't put the blame on them. They're not liable. So
okay,
it's a
Hadley, could we circle back though to, let's say we did in the scenario where we did get our own workers' comp, and they and sign the waiver. Would the workers' comp that we get cover us, or doesn't it cover any employee of ours? Like, what if I got injured, you know, on the site and I had taken out my own workers' comp? Does that even cover me, or is that like for third parties? It doesn't even help me.
It would be. It's really for your employees. I mean, which
I wouldn't have.
Right, exactly. In large companies, if you're in a large like corporation, the owners can be covered. You can basically opt in, you know, to it. You pay a lot additional money for that, and it's very rare that you're going to be suing your own self for that, right? That's why most of the time you're excluded. So yeah, it's a very strange, and I think it's going to shift. And I think, like I said, I think it goes back down to people not understanding what they're asking for.
Yeah.
These people they're not from the insurance world, right? They don't probably even know what workers' comp covers. So they're asking for something they don't even know.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of an education, a little bit of an education to them. You know, trying to fight them on it, seeing if you can get, you know, if they will accept a release of liability, hold harmless type of agreement built in. I mean, if you absolutely have to, then you get, you know, you can get a blanket for the year. But it's spending money that you shouldn't have to spend.
Lori Lamson, you've had your hand up. Do you still have a question? Because we don't see your face and you're not jumping in. Are you good? Or do you have a question?
I have a question.
What's up?
Well, two questions. As a writer, I guess I'm not in as much danger of hurting someone, but there is some professional something. And like I have a book on Range Me, and they want you to have professional insurance for whatever reason. So I guess I need something, but then the cyber thing too. I once got a quote for that for a project in Texas, and it was like thousands of dollars. It just knocked me out of being able to do that. Does that make sense? Or what should someone like me be paying?
Okay, to address the professional liability, if you're putting out a book and you're telling people how to do things, you're giving advice, acting in a capacity as a consultant, right? Giving, a book or writing something about that, then I think that's appropriate. That's something you probably would want to have. I mean, that professional liability shouldn't be, could be $400 a year.
They weren't looking at it like that. It's more like they want to know that you're set up as a professional business in order to buy 500 or 1,000 books from you. Like their clients are Whole Foods, Target, and they want to buy products from someone that has insurance.
Okay, that makes sense.
Generally speaking. Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm surprised they asked for professional liability, not general.
Or some kind of, I think that's what it was. I can't remember. I just didn't do it at the time. I just gave up.
I mean, it makes sense. That definitely makes sense. for people to ask you for general liability if you're, acting as a product vendor, if you're going to be selling them something, right, in their.
Okay. And by the way, that book is a bit of a self-help book, so I guess you're right.
then that would probably make sense, right? And it would be appropriate to have that. As for the cyber it's on the rise because there's a lot of cyber, and this is bottom line insurance. When there's a lot of, this is a question I get, when there's a lot of claims or some type of risk is on the rise where it's happening more and more, that's when premiums go up. Okay, that's when your premiums are going to go up. People will come to me and say, well, my God, I've had insurance for 10 years. I've never had a claim. Why is my premium going up? Right. And I'll say, well, let's look at this. Now you are, you're a general contractor, you're a builder, and there's been a lot of claims in your industry in the last 2-3 years. So everybody's premiums are going up because all the carriers, the insurance companies are looking at with their actuary reports, they're looking at how risky is this operation. And if there's a lot of different claims in the operation, then prices go up. So going back to the cyber, as there's more cyber claims coming in, premiums are going to go up because there's more chances that something's going to happen and the carrier is going to be on the hook for it. It's all a business, right? Insurance companies are in it to make money, not in it to lose money. So, but cyber is going to really be based, the premium on cyber is going to be based on what your actual risk is. So if you are, if there's a lot of data you need to protect, you don't have any, they're going to check your system. When your firewalls are low, you're saving a lot of stuff on your servers. It's other people's stuff. So the risk could be higher, and that's going to be individual on the cyber side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have another question, but yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I work with people who have stuff online, but it's not ever under it's like their Google Drive or their website. I don't have control over those things. So
maybe you need to put it out for more people to quote it. Really. You got to get.
This was years ago, and it was about a specific project. It was like a government project. I was going to produce it to, and I was going to RFP it, and they were requiring that. So I was looking into it, and it was crazy. I guess it's something you need anyway.
If you're doing that, and that's a question you want to talk specifically with your broker.
Just as a writer, though, but.
As a writer, I don't see cyber really being an issue at all as a writer. I mean, as long as, the only risk is if you lose your work, right? Cyber is really more financial.
Okay, I won't worry about that one then, unless. Yeah. I had one more real quick. I also do energy work. I kind of stopped, but card reading at parties, energy work, and I had insurance for that. I was recommended to get that. It's like what's called for body workers. Massage people. I don't ever physically touch anyone, but it fell under that same world. But the place that I had the insurance with that did these policies, they disappeared and I didn't know where else to go. And is that something that you deal with at all?
Yeah, it would be an individual conversation. You can reach out to me. I don't know, where are you located?
Oceanside, California.
Oh, okay. I'm in Carlsbad. So.
Oh, neighbors. That's right. You said Carlsbad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why don't you reach out at the end? I'll give you my number. So you reach out to me. We'll talk about specifics because.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes, I do all kinds.
Yeah, I have to jump off in a minute anyhow, but I will figure out how to contact you from here.
Yes. Yeah. Reach out to Nancy. We'll know too. Yes.
Nancy. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Nancy, for doing this. It's awesome.
Of course. Yeah. And it's on the newsletter that I sent out, and it'll be in the recap too in the video. I put your link always in there, Hadley. So people can find
Oh, good. And I'm just going to go through these, a couple of things. Do we have, let's see. Oh yeah. I know we don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to go through really quickly on some of the biggest things is importance of documentation for all you guys. This is going to be huge. If there is a claim in your future, hopefully there's not, but this is going to come down to sometimes he said, she said, being able to prove due diligence that you've done everything that you can to mitigate damage. You have everything organized. You've backed everything up. You have pictures, videos, files on it. Each job that you're on should obviously have a different kind of file system to it. It'll just be a lot easier. If hopefully not, you ever have to go through that. Like I said about your policies, I want you to, if you can, talk to your broker, if you have a policy, take a look at your actual policy, look at your exclusions, okay? And then I want you to think about the fact that there's always going to be uninsurable risks, okay? And any business, and every business is going to be different, but there's uninsurable risks in your business. Here's a few of them, obviously. There's a lot more. There's ways to manage uninsurable risk, and it basically is simply just identifying what they are, coming up with a way to evaluate how risky is it, and then being able to come up with a plan to minimize, mitigate, and then monitor and continue to do this. This is risk management 101, but it's important. If you look at your policy and go, oh my God, I can't believe that's not covered. And then you talk to, say, somebody and they go, we can't, there's no way to cover that. Then you go into this type of risk management. Okay.
I'm sorry, can you answer a quick question?
Sure.
Why do production companies want me to make them additionally insured on my liability policy? They will never do it for me, but I have to do it for them.
Yep.
And they will never, ever, no one's ever asked me if I've had professional liability, which I would think would be the second question they would ask after, but nobody does.
I know, this is crazy. Well, let's, first question, why do they want additionally insured, right? Why do they want you to name them additionally insured? This is where it comes down to, again, covering your butt. And they want, if you were to cause any damage, Miles, if you're in somebody's space and you, for some reason, you knock over something, it causes damage, they're going to be brought into, and say somebody's injured in the space, okay? Another person working gets injured. Obviously, you're going to be sued, but they're also going to be sued because they own the space. So they're going to be brought into that lawsuit. They want your insurance to pay their legal defense. That's what that is. So the blanket additional insured is only relevant, number one, if you have a written solid contract with that person that you're having the certificate with, and the additional insured does not make them additionally insured on your policy. It basically is if that other person's brought into a lawsuit that you actually caused the damage on, your defense pays for your defense under your policy covers them. That way they don't have to tap into their insurance, at least not first, unless it gets into a battle. But that way they don't have to touch their insurance and tap into, their legal or hire a lawyer. So it's actually a benefit to them, not necessarily to you. That's why it doesn't go conversely, right? As far as them not asking for professional, it's because they're ignorant. I hate to say that. They're ignorant in that people sometimes don't know what to ask for. And I think it's just the lawyers who are drafting up these requirements maybe aren't thinking about it realistically. They should be asking for a professional liability. Now, at least be verifying that professional liability, that you have it, okay? Most of the time for professional liability or E&O, you cannot add another person as additionally insured.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so some companies you can, but most of them you can't. So maybe that's why they're not, but they should verify it, I would think, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, real quick, Tony had one. I mean, if he's in Montana, if he gets a worse comp policy in Montana, is it good when he goes to work in California, Nevada, Illinois? Like,
yeah,
question, Tony?
You can't. Yeah, you can get insurance policies that cover. In general, a work comp policy. If travel is a part of what you do, then that is, yes, you're covered in various states because you're doing work. You're not moving to different states, right? You're just working in different states. If it was your employees, if somebody had employees and you had and you really did have a work comp and you wanted a work comp policy and they're traveling to different states, yes, you'd want to have that because gosh, what if something happens when they're traveling, right? They're on the clock. That work comp would cover that.
Okay. Yeah. And Mel, as Mel wrote here, she pays herself, she's an employee, she has a paycheck, but would your workman's comp actually cover her then? But no, because you're the owner of the company.
Right.
That's now doubly dumb.
It's now doubly dumb.
I mean, it really is. And believe me, I see this a lot. I see it in different types of businesses too, where they'll say, oh, nope, we don't care. You have no employees. It's just you coming by. you know, we need you to have workers' comp.
Hadley for insurance commissioner.
Clients.
Hadley for insurance commissioner. I said Hadley for insurance commissioner.
Right? Woohoo. I mean,
Gosh.
clients, I'll say, look, is it worth taking the job? You know, sometimes you have to say, look, okay, I'm not going to take that job because it's not worth me getting a policy and spending $500-600 for the policy for the year. And the job's only going to bring me, you know, $400. You know, sometimes you have to look at that. And that, you know, obviously fight it.
So Hadley, this has been awesome. I'm looking at our last slide, key takeaways. Everyone, this has been recorded, so we will be sharing this. If you want to share the deck, Hadley, when I send out the email, I'd be happy to attach the deck to this.
Absolutely.
Are you taking on new clients if they're not in
absolutely.
California? Can you still help some people? I don't know what your boundary is. Do you do outside
absolutely.
California?
I mean, I'm happy to talk with everybody. I'm not licensed in all states. Like New York is kind of a tough state. Florida's a tough state.
How about Illinois?
I could probably, we could talk, depending upon what you do, there's certain carriers I have access to. We could see if that would be right, but at least I could give you some direction.
Exactly.
Be a resource and just give you direction. And then you can kind of use that so that when you're talking with somebody in Illinois, you'll know what to ask for, which I think is, that's half of it right there, knowing what you need to ask somebody for. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And would you do that for New York too, even though it's a tough?
Absolutely. I'm happy to
Thank
help
you.
I love what
great.
Nancy's
Thank you.
doing. I'm happy to help all of you guys. Any way I can, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you.
I love it. And you guys, they do this for free. Like Hadley and Jonathan, they're just helping us. I think it's amazing that people will just take the time out of their day. And it's great if we can get them business, but it's not like if she can't help anybody in New York, so what? She still wants to help us. I think that's just so honorable. So if we can get you business, I would love to, because you took time out of your day to help us.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's good mojo all around, you know, right?
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, one thing I did want to say, a big one, if you guys don't know, I honestly, one of the biggest things I think I've learned, IT, you know, I think you probably all do, but the IT, having an IT specialist in your back pocket, this is probably something I've learned in the last couple of years. And it really sunk in for me when my computer went down and I lost almost all of my data. And I had to have it forensically extracted, and it cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So having an IT specialist that you work with could be something to really look at. So it's in the risk management thing, but I just kind of wanted to share that with you because I would hate to have that happen to somebody else. I know all you guys creating stuff, you wouldn't want to lose it. So
that was just a plug for nobody, but just a plug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's my information, you guys. I will share this deck with Nancy so she can kind of post it up. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to help everybody. And I know we didn't get to everything, but it's kind of insurance is a big thing, and I'd be happy to talk with you one-on-one.
Awesome. Thanks, Miss Hadley. Yay.
Thank you, guys.
I don't have
Thank you so
another
much.
think tank schedule, but here's what I'm thinking. And I'm happy to, if you guys want to jump on Slack and tell me what you think, we could talk about now building your personal brand. Now that you have a business entity and you've got your insurance policy in, how are you going to build that personal brand? Or we could also talk about, someone mentioned resume reviews on Slack. Like, I do 3 different jobs. How do I make a resume when I play through 3 different roles? So I'm up for whatever. So if you guys want to give me feedback on what you'd like to have the next think tank be, I'm all ears. And I think I might do like a monthly new member meetup too, if you guys ever want to jump in one of those and meet the new members of Tempo. So those are my thoughts.
To go along with the resume thing, one of those topics, or what I've been trying to do, is whether it's truly a resume or kind of like some people have a website, but I've just been trying to have a good list or a portfolio of things, because recently someone said, like, just show me some stuff you've worked on, and even if it was a list, you know, so they could feel confident that something was there. So I would love to see what other people do, and I know someone had a website.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great conversation that's happening on LinkedIn, but I'm happy to take it to the think tank too. It'd be kind of fun. All right.
Take a shower.
Everyone else go get your afternoon showers in, the rest of you.
Thanks, Hadley.
Thank you, guys. Really nice talking with you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so
Great
much.
to see your faces.
Take
Bye.
care. Thank you.
Bye.